see, we'll,
They were all good. Now I don't remember what it was a better part. We really got down to between two of them.
let Bill go.
Guess it was
Bill go.
maybe Booth and Oak Grove.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully ended up with her, but they were well.
You will say first to our Central Mississippi, if you're in charge of the weather today, thank you very much. We were experiencing thunderstorms and what we call a summer squall on the coast today that blows through and gives us a little rain and make the trees grow and so on and so forth and keep those live oaks pretty. But thank you very much for this fine weather. For all of our guests that are here today, thank you for being here. And I see job security on the front row, one about, 6 months old, and maybe one about third or fourth grade over there. So that's good to have as well. So at this point, I want to remind everyone to silence your cell phones. Also want to remind you that this meeting is live streamed. This is the Mississippi Board of Education. This is July 17th, 10 o'clock a.m. We're in the fourth floor boardroom at the Central High School, which is the home of the Mississippi Department of Education, located at 359 North West Street in Jackson, Mississippi. So I officially call the meeting to order. And first, we have two of our members that are on our team concept. So Wendy, if you could announce yourself and tell us where you are.
Wendy Barrett, Mississippi.
And Billie Jean Stroud.
Billie Jean Stroud, New Albany, Mississippi.
Very good. At this point, I'd like you to stand. We have Mr. Pruitt's going to lead us in the flag and Ms. Werner in our invocation.
Please join me in saying the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you bow your heads, please. Dear God, I would like to ask you to come down today and be with us and help us to make sure we're doing the right things for our kids. And if you can impart some wisdom to us, we would be most grateful. Thank you.
100%.
All right, so I've got to get used to you being on the senior side of the room today. Our junior rep will be with us for our August meeting. She is still out of country with her family. So, you have before you the minutes from our June 19th special call board meeting, also the minutes from our June 19th board meeting, and minutes from the special call board meeting of June the 18th. So I would ask for approval of that set of minutes, those sets of minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Mayo on the motion, Mr. Pruitt on the second. Any discussion, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have our agenda for today. If I would look for a motion to approve our agenda overall.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mayo and Werner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any questions? We have our consent agenda. Motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make ask to pull off items E and F for discussion, which is the budgets for Mississippi School for Arts and Mississippi School of Deaf and Blind.
Very well. Anybody opposed to that action?
I'd like to pull the one about what's going on with MFCW agreement.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Memorandum.
What item number is that, Bill? Is that J?
It's J.
J?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Very good. So we will, I need a motion to move items E, F, and J to the action items.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. Anybody have questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do you need a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda?
That's right, correct. Motion to
moved.
approve what's left on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Mayo?
Second.
Mr. Miller? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much for that. All right, so now we go back and we'll approve our original motion to approve the agenda.
I'd like to approve the agenda as modified.
Very good. Mr. Mayo, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller? Beat you to it there, Ronnie.
All right.
Let's give that to Mr. McGee. We'll call it a tie. How about that? That way he can show he's here today, right? All right, so motion carries. Okay. Now let me get back on the right page of my little script here. So we have a recognition ceremony this morning, and Shadera Minor will lead us through these outstanding teachers that have gathered with us today.
Good morning, Mr. East, Dr. Evans, and State Board members. It is my honor to present to you the board recognition for July. Today, we are honoring 6 exceptional Mississippi teachers who are the 2025 state-level finalists for the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. This is the highest recognition that a kindergarten through 12th grade mathematics or science teacher may receive for outstanding teaching in the United States. Teachers, as I call your names, please join Mr. East and Dr. Evans at the front of the boardroom. The math teacher with us today is Laurel Yates of Northwest Rankin High School in the Rankin County School District. She has taught for 7 years. Our science
You have a 10-minute speech you have to make before you go. Now, let's get our picture made at least, and we'll go.
Our science teachers include Angela Lee of Bayou View Middle School in the Gulfport School District. She has taught for 16 years. Then we have Tammy Marlowe of Cleveland Central Middle School in the Cleveland School District. Tammy has taught for 25 years. And then we have Anna Maria Moore of Vardaman Attendance Center in the Calhoun County School District. She has taught for 12 years.
Back up here, if you're a principal or somebody with you today, they can come up and we'll take one group shot if we can.
I will also say that 2 teachers could not be with us today. The math teachers, Allison Alexander from the Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science, and Virginia Cornelius of Lafayette High School in the Lafayette School District. Congress established the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching in 1983. The award recognizes teachers with deep content knowledge of the subjects they teach and the ability to motivate and enable students to be successful in those areas. Awardees serve as models for their colleagues, inspiration to their communities, and leaders in the improvement of mathematics and science education. Congratulations to all of our honorees, and you are welcome to make remarks at this time, and we will start with Ms. Yates.
You're the math teacher.
Math, right, not English.
Speak to us in math language, and we'll understand that.
No, I don't have much to say. I'll just say thanks to my husband for supporting me My Crazy Two Big Dreams, and for my kids for being patient through all my crazy two big dreams, and to my two math specialists for all the support, especially through this process, and thanks to the board for having us here today.
I'm Tammy Morley, and I've been teaching for over 25 years in different states. And when people say teamwork makes the dream work, oh, that is it. Because I could not do anything that I do with my kids without my family, my husband, my children. They help me so much. And the other teachers that I have, even other students come in and help. And my poor administrators, I wish they could be here today, because I know when they see me coming, they just want to slam the door in my face. But they do so much, and they lift us up so much, and they allow us to do what we do in the classrooms. And thank you, Dr. Gaylord, too, for everything, for leading the way and being the tip of the spear for us in science. And thank y'all so much for this recognition. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
I'm Amber Moore from Barnum Attendance Center. I teach biology, and my philosophy has always been that students can do anything and that they should be able to learn in a way that makes sense to them. And so I try a lot of things, and I do want to thank my administrators and the other teachers at my school too, who put up with everything that I come up with too. I thank my husband for being here, Dr. Gaylor and Dr. Evans, and the board. Thank you so much for this. I do appreciate it, and I'm humbled and honored to be up here with these amazing educators.
Well, I'm Angela Lee. I teach in Gulfport on the coast. I'm just forever grateful for my family. They've definitely put up with a lot. But also my district and my colleagues and my principals, because I try it all. And Parker can tell you, he's one of my former students, that I bring every opportunity I can in my classroom, and I've been extremely grateful for my district and everyone who puts up with my crazy ideas. So we just move through, and thank you guys.
Well, one more thing, is there anybody we missed that needs to be in a picture? If so, I noticed somebody came in with another math specialist. Is there a superintendent that needs, I want to make sure we leave the right pictures for everybody, so come on. This is always a team effort. Well, we can do families next if you want to. How about that? We'll have the whole crew up there. All right.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
All right, let's get out of the way. We'll let all the daddies, the mothers, and everybody else come up for a picture. Come on up here, y'all. That wants to come.
You're being voluntold. Dr. Gaylord, will you come with this too?
All right, everybody squeeze in like you like each other. All right, here we go. Everybody can look my way. 1, 2, 3, smile. Perfect. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Especially as my kid this year. Sounds like she teaches higher math, so it's probably not a risk, but we need to make sure.
Probably. Yep, yep.
That's always fun. You sure may. You sure may. No charge. So we're now to part of our, we go from all this fun stuff that we do and all these outstanding awards, and now we get to listen to the state superintendent talk.
Hey.
All right, so we have the report of the state superintendent at this point. So, Dr. Evans, you're on.
I'll be brief. I know it probably is the most unentertaining thing you do. So, we did have the MAS conference. It's the Mississippi Association of School Superintendents Conference. This week, oh goodness gracious, the weeks run together. This week, myself and a team from MDE, we were able to go down and do several sessions. We appreciate Dr. Birchfield and his allowing us to participate in MAS. It is the largest gathering of superintendents, district superintendents in the state. They typically have somewhere around, I don't know the number, around 1,100 to 1,200 participants there. So we did the normal accountability update, the normal MDE update. Every session we had was packed out. One, I felt bad I wouldn't start opening side doors so people could stand there. So I want to make sure people can hear what's going on. So we appreciate that. We did have the opportunity I had the opportunity to do an additional half-hour session that just had superintendents in it to address any questions they had on accountability, any of the questions that I could address, because all of the results hadn't been obviously approved by you as a board. So I think it went really well. I think it made people feel better, and it for sure answered their question. One thing I've learned over the years, if you can give somebody an answer to their question, it helps a lot. So when you look at federal education funding, U.S. Department of Education did notify states on June the 26th that it had reinstated the original late liquidation, which had been removed which originally was allowed to take place until March of 2026. So we refer to it as ESSER dollars, right? COVID relief, pandemic relief funds. So we did get that process started back. We have urged our districts to move very, very quickly in those requests, because there is no guarantee that it will actually be there till March the 26th. The idea is there that it might actually be like a resetting of the clock, if you will, for a 30 or 45 day period. And I have done everything I could to clear my conscience to make sure that they know that this has request the money, because there's nothing we can do to help you. And that's not just districts, that's the department too. So we're making sure that we're providing all those, all of the services we need, but also we have some grants that were for support to districts that run through those dollars as well. Let's see here. All right, that would be all. Okay, so when you look at ESSA dollars, again, here we come dealing with some financial topics with federal dollars. On June the 30th, the U.S. Department of Ed notified states that it was reviewing several grant programs. I think the term they used was impounding the federal dollars under ESSA, and there was no clear timeline as to when, why, or how that would take place as far as their reviewing of those funds. For Mississippi, this affects approximately 68 million. I'm sorry, my bad. I apologize. I'm not going to start over, so hopefully everybody can hear. I'm pretty loud, so thank you for that. This it involves around 68 million in funds to our local school districts, as well as the department. That's one of the things every time I talk to our superintendents or our teachers or leaders across the state, I make sure they understand, it's not just the districts that rely on this, it's MDE as well. So if we don't receive those funds, obviously they struggle, but we struggle too. So it's the old saying, misery loves company, right? So it's a together, it's a everybody thing here. So we're all in it together. But just a little more clarification for Mississippi, that 68 million affects grants and migrant education, support for effective instruction, our EL programming, student support and academic enrichment, as well as 21st century learning centers. It's basically, to get in the weeds a little bit, Title 1C, Title 2A, Title 3A, Title 4A, and Title 4B are the programs that we're seeing be affected. And we're working very directly with USD to try to get that rectified. We would like to have a very clear timeline as to when they expect to finish up that audit of the funds. when you look at the law does say even though the dollars are appropriated, they have to be passed on to the states in a timely fashion, but there is no definition of a timely fashion. So we're trying to create a timely fashion, if you will, by our constant asking as to when we'll get those funds. So we did hold I'm the type person to where if something's happening that's potentially negative or burdensome for districts, I believe as a leader, it's my responsibility to deliver that information. And I like doing it in a way to where everyone has the opportunity to ask questions. So last week, we held a Teams meeting for superintendents, business managers, and federal programs directors. At one point in time, when I was looking at the total, there was somewhere around 475 participants, so it was very well attended. And what we did is we just provided the guidance. The thing is when we get an email from USDA that says, hey, we're impounding these funds, it's not like they send a backup sheet that says, hey, these are ideas as to how you can, so we have to navigate that and see exactly what it means. So we did get that done. It was received, the support, they felt the support from the department and appreciated us doing that. We, let's see here, in addition to that, on Monday of this week, 24 states, as well as the District of Columbia, filed lawsuit in federal court. You know how those lawsuits were filed over the pandemic relief funds? Well, you now have, I think there may have been this may be more states, I'd have to go back and look, than the actual pandemic funds, but you have 24 states, like I said, in the District of Columbia that have filed suit over the USDA's not releasing of those funds. And we're just continuing to monitor it closely. And like I said, through direct conversations with USD, trying to get those dollars. But I say this out loud every time I get a chance. It's important that people understand we don't have those dollars to send. So if it's not like we have them sitting in like a clearing account over here and we're just holding them up. We don't have them to send because obviously just like districts do it on a drawdown process, we do the very same thing every month. So I just don't want anybody to be confused as to how that works. Next topic here is MSFF, Mississippi Student Funding Formula. On June the 27th, the MDE sent districts their FY26 MSFF allocations in accordance with the hold harmless provision in state law. No district will receive less funds than it did in FY 2024. There was some confusion there because some districts are receiving less than they thought they were going to receive. But Ms. Kim was very gracious and she went way into the weeds. We've met several times and created spreadsheets that actually take the student funding formula and look at every individual district and every single multiplier that's there. And what she did is she provided the documentation for this is why you got this dollar amount. And there are several different reasons when you look at the weights. Some of it is a decrease in enrollment, which they're obviously not going to fund students that aren't there. That wouldn't be appropriate. As well as the increase in the employer's portion of PERS and state health insurance. Like I said earlier, the increases, because some receive more, right? Those increases or decreases. The shifts in local contributions, and the part that it's important that was why it was so important to have that spreadsheet is the students with those shifts in the weighted categories. Like EL and our students who receive special services, there's 3 different categories there. So if a student left, so say you had 10 students leave a district and they were across 2 to 3 of those categories, well, it's not just the base student cost that you're losing, it's the weights for each of those categories, which adds up. I mean, it adds up tremendously over depending on the size of the district and the impact that it can have. So I appreciate her. Those sheets are so small, I just about go blind even with reading glasses trying to see them, but it definitely helps people understand because it's important to me, for years, people talk about how they didn't understand how the funding formula worked. And one of my goals has been to make sure that people have a very good understanding of how the funding formula works. And by creating that spreadsheet like that, it laid it out to where people could see. If you can't tell, I appreciate you doing that. So a couple speaking engagements. One, the Education Commission for the States. I was asked to speak on a panel with West Virginia, as well as Rhode Island, about advancing digital literacy through state partnerships in education. That was a very beneficial opportunity for the department, as well as had an interview when we were down on the coast at Mass, WLOX, had an interview with them, excuse me, and the topics were just very broad. You know, it was basically education fundings, gains in student achievement, and any new initiatives that the department is pushing out. Thank you, sir.
Good job, sir.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
As far as the chair, I also was at Mass, was invited to do a welcome on behalf of the state board at their prayer breakfast on Sunday. Also had the privilege of being a part of a Scott County administrative staff development, if you will. Their theme for this year is building a legacy, and I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation with that little school district as they visited the Gulf Coast as well. So moving right along in our reports, we've got Crosby Parker, at least national traveler here for a while, with his now senior representative student report.
Thank you, Mr. East. I'm very excited to step into this new year. It's kind of tough to believe that I'm already halfway through my tenure. It has been just a very awesome experience. This summer has been pretty crazy. I've had the privileges to attend 2 really unique leadership opportunities. Last meeting, I missed the interview, unfortunately, but I was in D.C. with the electrical co-ops and their leadership program. They brought about 80 students or so from Mississippi to Washington, D.C. We got to interact with other states and just see everything that our capital had to offer. And then I would also just like to thank everyone from MDE that put the work in to help me go to the Ronald Reagan Leadership Conference. I was sponsored to go, and it was held in Malibu, California. So that was really awesome. It was
Assignment, huh?
it was real tough assignment. It was at Pepperdine. So and I got to meet students from up and down the United States, even from other countries, and the experience, it just showed me that coming from Mississippi, it's never a detractor from these interactions. We prepare just as hard, we can compete just as well as those students, and so it really was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and so thank you to everyone who put the work in to help set that up. I also would like to say I'm very excited to work with Michelle. I wasn't here for the second interview, but she really blew us away in the first interview, which I was able to attend. So very excited to collaborate with her, and I know she'll love the position just as much as I have. So as for my report, some of you may know already that I do a robotics camp over the summers for the Boys and Girls Club. It's actually what inspired the year-long mentorship program that we've started. And this year, we had it again, but it was a little different because now we could kind of track students who had been through the mentoring program. We could see maybe how things change between a student who hasn't been through the program and a student who has. And what we saw was just exactly what you would want to hear. We had students who had never been in these kind of positions, and so they didn't really know what to do or what to expect. And then you had students who had been through the mentoring program. They would come over and they would assist. They would help lead, and it was completely unprompted. I wasn't expecting to see them come over and do this on their own. But they would come over and they would lead other students in what we were doing and what we were learning. And so that really was just a huge testament to what we're doing. It shows we're on the right track. We're attempting to make it self-sustaining, because our dream for this program is that these students will follow in their mentors' footsteps. They will one day become mentors themselves. And so just to watch them do that was really a full circle moment. And so moving forward this year, I want to shift my focus from the pilot programs in Gulfport and move to really trying to provide resources and reach out to people here at MDE to try and maybe roll out some sort of programs in other districts where we provide. It will absolutely take dedicated volunteers, but we can help provide services, we can help provide resources to help make these possible, because it can really benefit a lot of students, high schoolers and elementary schoolers. And just one more thing, it's been my experience in high school that students will kind of make groups and sit within those groups. We all have like friend groups and all that. But what I've seen with this program is that high schoolers that don't know me will come up and ask about the program because it excites them. They want to reach out. They want to benefit their community and be leaders. And I've never seen that, or that's never happened to me with anything else. And I think that just shows how it really can excite a community and it can really help build up these high schoolers. So I'm very excited for everything to come and just thank you all for this opportunity.
Good. Michelle will be with us in August, and we look forward to her beginning her junior reports. Also look forward to the work of Crosby and Michelle with our student advisory team, along with the state superintendent and his team. So looking forward to a great year. We have two subcommittees that have met. The Academic Achievement Pre-K Subcommittee, first to Billie Jean and Ronnie. Thanks for covering me there for most of the meeting. We had new teachers in the district yesterday, and I got hung up with two of them that graduated, and just time went. My phone was in the car, and I couldn't call anybody. But based on that meeting, I want to fill you in. That team did discuss the statewide synchronous instructional program funded by the legislature in 2025-26 for the 25-26 school year, and the applications for that program will be forthcoming from the staff here. We discussed the changes that we have been talking about with the early childhood and the Mississippi Early Learning Guidelines serving classrooms of 3- and 4-year-old children, and that was to remove some quality component due to the change of the assessment and also the ability to revise those programs as needed. We also followed up with our conversation about the Bridge to Career course being added by State Board Policy, Chapter 36, Rule 36.5, and the curriculum that would go along with that course, of which has already gone through APA. So we're also, as part of that recommendation that we've done, allowing a temporary rule that will allow districts to implement this fall if they desire to begin work on that work. So that's where we are with the academic achievement, pre-K through the rest of our pre-K through 12 in our work. So also Bill Jacobs and his team have been working this morning for a good while, Internal Accountability Subcommittee. Bill?
We did have a long meeting, and apologize, we're all a little late getting back up here. But meeting had two things going on. One of it, if y'all remember, we lost our auditor and second auditor last summer in June, who resigned over some issues, and we have since replaced them. And I wanted the committee to meet Sam Atkinson and Alex Shakespeare. We already knew Alex and Will Harris, and tell us what they're doing and how they're doing. We're delighted to have two new ones there, and we think Sam will do a wonderful job leading that area. Let's see, we also had a discussion on an internal audit policy manual, which Sam has written. I will remind you that the internal audit subcommittee and the internal audit are legislatively mandated committee and office that has certain things it has to do. So Sam was discussing what we should be doing and readjusting the manual and going over certain things there. There was a little pop-up that was surprising where the internal audit has always been underneath the Educational Accountability Office, and there's something happening there that we're not sure about. So we did not approve that in manual. I think we'll all be hearing about that coming up later today. One issue that very good that Sam is doing is last year we had an issue with subrecipient audits, which are audits from school districts that are coming in, and they're really not audits, but the auditors were doing all that work, and basically the resignations last year were because that was not allowing them to do their work. Sam has found a way to adjust that, and I think we're going to solve that issue and keep the independence of internal audit as it needs to be. So congratulations, Sam, on that part. So.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for both of our committees that met and the work that you do above and beyond this time we spend once a month. So we are moving to our action items here. We have one with Ms. Kim Wiggins, and that is the approval of the fiscal year 2027 budget requests. Come on up, Kim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come before you today with our final FY '27 budget request. I'll just go ahead and start. So we'll start. So if you will remember, in June, at our June meeting last month, we presented our overall agency budget, but at that time, the numbers we presented specific to MSFF and also Chickasaw were preliminary numbers. So today, we are presenting our final budget to you, which includes what will be the MSFF amount and Chickasaw amounts that we are requesting based on your approval of the legislature. So this would be the amount that we would turn into elbow for appropriation purposes. And if you look at page 5 of the presentation, the MSFF, the total support amount that we are requesting will be $2.9 billion, which represents 88 or 89% of our total agency budget. But it also reflects a $24.56 million increase over fiscal year '26. And the base student cost a point of reference, the base student cost in FY '26 is $6,847.33. This $2.9 billion is based on a base student cost of $6,919.89, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation. Our CTE budget is $93.4 million, and the Chickasaw School Fund request is $21.6 million, and that represents a little less than 1% of our overall budget. If you'll turn to page 6, these numbers we presented last month. The general education budget, which includes the majority of our line items, is $246.5 million. General ed, which is the amount that the agency itself operates on, $21.8 million, for a total agency budget of almost $3.4 billion for FY '27. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Concerning the 27 budget request.
Okay. Thank you.
So may I have a motion to approve the 2027 budget request?
So moved.
Ms. Warner on the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Mayo. Any other comments or discussion? I need to get my 2 board members back up so I can make sure they vote. Thank you, sir. All right, here we go. Wendy or Billie Jean, any questions you have? You good? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're
To
good.
make a comment, it looks to me from '26 to '27, there's been about a $3 million decrease in the general education MDE operations budget. And I think that should be just noted, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yes. That $3 billion decrease, I'll ask you, Rhonda. That was over, okay, yes, that's correct.
I think the point Mr. Pruitt is
Yes,
making
it's
is,
over, yes,
that's a
we need
good
to make the
number
note.
to make sure that we know about as far as decreasing our ask
That's
for that
correct.
department, for that part of the
For
budget.
our operations, yes.
Thank you, sir. Now we're on to action item 2. Ms. Wiggins, you're still up?
Yes, so this is an emergency contract for $1.4 million to engage in contract with Inside. And this is the company that provides the statewide school safety platform. You may notice the term of the contract is March 4th of 2025 through March 3rd of 2026. The date of the contract is such because the legislature provided funding in our FY25 appropriations bill 1823 of $1.4 million. However, they incorrectly provided the funding for school mapping. School mapping had been completed at that time and should have been the school safety platform. So in the special session of 26, they went back and they passed House Bill 48, and House Bill 48 cleared that error in our 25 appropriation, which would now allow us to use the $1.4 million to cover the cost of the school safety platform for the prior fiscal year. So we're bringing this board, this action to you for review and approval.
Questions about that? Crisis management plan is for districts in crisis, helping with them and
Yes.
helping them develop their plans as well as here at the State Department, correct?
Yes.
A motion to do action item number 2, which is.
So moved.
Very well, Mr. Pruitt, second. Jacobs, any more comments or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 2 on the screen are good as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're now to our consent agenda. We're going to approve it without. Oh, correct. Thank you very much. We are now to action item number 3. That would be, I think we can discuss E and F together. We pulled from the consent agenda concerning the budgets of the School of Arts and the budget for the School of the Deaf and Blind. Any conversation concerning those two?
Mr. Chairman, when I looked at these and I compare them back to their expense items that have some financials in them, they don't reconcile to me, and I don't know that they're not consistent in how they're presented. And I want to make sure that before I think we should temporarily approve the budget, but during the course, because I don't want to interfere with the start of school, but just as an effort to get some consistency, if you look at how they account for revenue, again, particularly if you look at like deaf and blind's revenue in the expense reports compared to the budget, they don't recognize what they get from the state, so their total revenue is $100,000 for the year. Well, obviously, that's not right, but it's also hard to go back and look over and over. They show a fund balance of $14 million in the budget, and I think the fund balance, based on the financials I can look at, is closer to $3 million all in. And so there are some inconsistencies. I'd like to go ahead and approve the budgets to start the school year, because again, I don't want to interfere with the operations of getting the school started, but I would like to, this month, be able to have us work and get those reconciled to make sure they're consistent and accurate.
Any other questions or comment about that part of the, so I'll need a motion to approve the budget with the understanding that staff will take this next month to make sure that those are the same and bring those back to us at the August meeting. Is that fair to word it that way legally? You good with that?
So moved for both Mississippi School of Arts and Mississippi School of Deaf.
Very well. May I have a second, please? Second from Mr. McGehee. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So now we're to what would be action item number 4, that we move J from the consent agenda. Mr. Jacobs, you pulled that, comments?
J3, the MSU, MUW agreement.
It's not MSU.
Mississippi School for Math and
MS,
Science.
MUW.
MS.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one thought we need to discuss. What is behind that?
Can I speak to that?
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
Yeah, so, excuse me. So it's the agreement that, because every year MS and the W, they obviously have a MOU that outlines who's responsible for what. Obviously, it sets forth to ensure that we understand that they're the fiscal agent. We got to get our people paid, get our bills paid, that type of thing. When you look at any differences in there, this traditionally would have been approved at our last board meeting. Just a couple of little additions, and Ms. Meyer and Ms. Clemens, you feel free to weigh in. The primary thing for me was to make sure that
we worked with, to ensure that we had a clear understanding of the established relationship between the W and Mississippi University for Women and MSMS, and it was articulated to us that it is truly an owner-tenant relationship, which clearly then establishes who is responsible to pay for repairs and upkeep on buildings because they are owned by DFA. So we met a couple of times, gone back and forth to get to a point to where Ms. Meyer had her work with the attorneys at Mississippi University for Women to make sure that the language reflected that. That is very, very important that we have that clarified because there was there was a lack of willingness to sign the MOU, not on our end at the last meeting. So I was proud we were to get that worked out because it's, there's been a lot of, that's kind of a prickly subject, if you will. And I thought it was very important that we understood the relationship. And that's really the primary differences. The only other differences you'll find in it is there were a couple of a couple of items that Ms. Tedder looked at, and we had actually increased that budget some. The actual areas have left my mind right now for the moment. It basically was in the library and some security stuff for the two primary pieces. So did work to get that budget item increased for the W because cost increase for everyone. And there was a little bit with the food services, very general things that were there, but the primary piece was the establishing in the MOU, that owner-tenant relationship. So am I leaving anything? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was saying if there's anything out, did I leave anything out? I may have. I don't think I did.
One of the key things was about financial responsibility, and if there are some overwhelming building systems that need to be replaced, like the HVAC, for example, that MDE would not be financially responsible. MSMS would not be absent some legislative appropriation because that's an expense that's not accounted for right now in our appropriation at all.
Can I, so one thing to add, but I did make sure that we understood that I was more than willing, our agency was more than willing to go with the W to talk to the legislature about projects. Now, I don't think it's appropriate for MDE to go advocate for the W's projects, but because that would not be appropriate. But we do have that understanding, and we're more than willing to work together to make sure that we're, making sure the situation is what's best for our students.
So I know that's what MDE has desired, and I think it's great that we have clarified that. What action is taking place based now on that agreement to the facilities? Because, we've been there, we've looked around. There are things that now need to take place. What's taking place?
So right now, it's very superficial what's taking place. They have outlined some projects that they know need to happen. I worry that they're not sufficient enough, for the total scope of the project. So there's not a real good answer to that question.
Could you share that scope with those of us that were on that designated sub?
I don't have it with me.
No,
so
I
they've
right
had.
this
Yeah,
second.
I can do that. I'll get that from President Miller. They've worked through some art. They told me they worked through with their architects to identify. And I know one of the major issues was in both buildings, like the dormitory, as well as one of the primary academic buildings was the heating and cooling units, which I know has a very large price tag associated with it. That's again, to both points here was why I know I keep belaboring that, was why it was so important for us to establish that they're not our buildings. It's our responsibility to make sure that our students are taken care of, but we have to work in partnership with everyone to make sure that happens. So I will get that.
Thank you. Who else was on that sub? Bill, were you on that subcommittee?
No.
Dr. McGee? Okay.
So may I offer that we do the same type of we'll approve this as written, and maybe Wendy can get the staff there at MSMS to send us a report at the next board meeting about what they have been doing in the wake of this MOU. Is that fair?
Can I ask one more question before we do that?
Yes, please. Yes, sir.
I mean, my remembrance, and this may not be 100% accurate, was that there were certain living condition issues, health department issues or things like that, that as the school year ended last year, that we had real concern about, and should we house students in these areas? How much of that has been reconciled, or are we turning around and knowingly putting kids back in these buildings that have substantial documented known issues?
So those issues, probably 7, 8 months ago, I think they probably came to light. Currently, they have been rectified to a point in which it's safe to be there. I have not had any communication that tells me otherwise. And I do know the steps that were taken. You know, we've talked about that. You know, we saw it when we went there as a group, some of the things that were happening. So just sitting here, they are planning on Hooper, which is the primary academic building. The swapping out of that large HVAC unit is scheduled for Labor Day weekend. So that's one progress piece that's taking place. So, but I have had no communication to tell me that it's an issue. Yeah.
Wendy?
I did want to say that they have moved, I believe that there were some issues with some of the dorms. They did move those students into another facility, so they are no longer in those conditions. And they have done some initial work, and according to Dr. Tedder, who is the executive director, the circumstances that you guys saw, they feel like that as their students return in the fall, that they are livable circumstances, and some of the things that you mentioned have kind of been rectified. You know, initially, there's still some work that needs to be done, but they have taken some positive steps to rectify some of those living situations.
I guess I hate that the fact the standards, they are actually livable, which would allude at some point they were not, and that's the standard that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I'd like to see something specific on that, please, rather than, that's a very general comment. I'm glad to hear the direction, but I think we need to have some documentation of what we're talking about.
And to speak to the MOU, we would need to, in some form, approve it because we do have to pay our financial
And
piece.
again, I can't make the motion, but I think what I'm hearing is I think we're willing to approve this MOU with the understanding that the original committee receives a report before the next board meeting that things are being done, and if we have to call a special board meeting, we can, or we can wait till the next board meeting to do that. That's not part of the motion.
Gotcha.
But that's part of the directive that we need to follow, I believe, so that we know before school starts that they are in a situation that is positive for our students that call MSMS home.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Bill has the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, but I got one more question before you vote.
Go ahead, we'll have a second, and then any other
Second.
questions or comments?
All right, in the budget narrative, it gives you an appropriation maximum amount. Was that actually appropriated? Because that's more than what's actually budgeted by a couple $100,000. So I mean, the way it's written is not to exceed $6,164,775 as appropriated by Bill 42. So where's the difference in the money? Because what the budget dollar amount is $6,429,000, so you're over the budgeted amount. Total budget is. I'm looking at the budget that is on.
There,
It's two different budgets, I think. You're looking at the one we're going to approve for next year. This is what was the past that was, I think.
Wendy, you have a comment for that, please?
25 legislature.
there are,
Go ahead, Wendy.
I will say that there are some foundation monies, I think, that are included in there. MSMS does have a foundation that they have established. I also wanted to say that there is an increase in wellness facility fees, probably the largest increase is in wellness facility fees. But I do want to point out that that is not necessarily an increase in those fees. There was a clerical issue for the FY25, fiscal year that is now being incorporated into the FY '26 fiscal year. I will also say that the attachment, which is the Sodexo contract, which Dr. Evans mentioned earlier, is the food contract. It went up, I think, $30,000+ due to the cost of food and services. And Dr. Tedder and I have talked with NUW about possibly having our own contract with the food services rather than have it through NUW, so that we can find ways to maybe cut some corners. Our high school students don't always eat the food there, and so trying to find creative ways to reduce that cost as well.
I'll say this, Mr. Mayor, by midweek next week, there will be no questions that
Yeah,
will be answered.
you're right. I looked at 25,
Yeah.
number 26 it's about $2,000 difference, so it's directionally accurate. I just was,
And just so I'm clear, what's in the budget narrative in this memorandum, the 6 million and change that is in House bill, that is the amount that the legislature.
It's appropriated.
And the way this is written is not to exceed that amount, meaning the legislature may, regardless of what we present as the budget, whatever the legislature makes the call, that's the amount.
If they're willing to appropriate.
Right, they have to appropriate. If we want $8 million, they owe $6 million,
Yes.
they owe $6 million.
Yes,
I
sir.
guess I'm surprised they didn't zero the budget, so that the money matches. That's what I was making sure of. But I thought it was over, but that was not just, the appropriation is just under.
Okay, so let's make sure where we are. We're approving this MOU with the understanding that our original team on MSMS gets a report sometime between now and next board meeting. And if they feel we need a special call meeting from that committee, we will do that, or we will wait to the August board meeting to have a final report from that committee and the staff.
And with your permission, I'll probably have Ms. Ginger come and give that report, who's the executive director.
And one more comment. I'm willing to drive back up to take a look around. And matter of fact, I'm kind of interested in doing so at some point.
At the end of the meeting, we can approve that as one of the trips you take, if that's what you'd like to do, sir.
Like,
All right?
all of us to go together.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
It was eye-opening the last time.
That's the three of you on that committee, correct? All right. We're good? Everybody understands what we're voting for? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We did, and we just clarified it before we went through. Mr. Jacobs made it, and Mr. Mayo seconded it. Now we have the motion for the rest of our consent items, motion to approve those.
So moved.
For our guests in the, second? Second, Ms. Warner. For our guests in the House, those are, we received these early, and we are able to ask staff questions. And therefore, at this meeting, there were things we pulled because of questions that we had. So, we got a motion, a second. All in favor of the consent agenda passage?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a consideration for the need to go into executive session?
I move that the board consider making a closed determination of the need to go into executive session on various matters that may impact current or prospective litigation. Hold on a second. I retract what I just said. I move that the board consider making a closed determination of the need to go into executive session on various matters.
There's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McGehee, any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll clear the room, decide if we're going into executive session, and the Back on, we're back off now, or we're back on and back off? All right, hold on.
The state board has voted to go into executive session for 3 separate matters. They voted unanimously to go into executive session for strategy session on the recently filed suit on House Bill 1193 in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 254174B, as well as the state superintendent's evaluation in accordance with 254174A and K. The board also voted to go into executive session to discuss discrete personnel matters related to the Office of Educational Accountability in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 254174A and K. That was with all voting yes, with the exception of Mr. Jacobs, who voted in the negative.
We discussed 3 items in executive session, took no action on those items. We did perform a evaluation of the state superintendent, which we presented to him, praised his efforts as state superintendent of the district and, of the state, and moving forward, so that he has some guidance there, let us know we will support him and do what he needs to do and make sure he takes care of himself. All right, we also need a motion to allow Michelle to attend the virtual START conference on August 15 through 17. She's participating as a National Student Board member through their association. So may I have a motion?
So moved.
Anybody, second? So Werner and then Miller, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're come to the election of, yes.
Whoever's on that committee.
And Ms. Clemens did send me a text. She said that Brian Marshall's planning to visit MSMS on August 13th. I'm not sure what day that is, date of the week, and when he's going to join him. So if that's a day that works for the board members.
It's Tuesday.
I was going to say, they're
Wednesday.
already planning to go that day.
That is a Wednesday. We've got a hair appointment.
I just wanted to throw out, like, they are planning to go that day.
So does that day work for us to make sure we can go ahead and approve that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back from vacation, so.
Okay. So what's that date, Aaron, officially?
August 13th.
August the 13th, to visit
MUW?
MSMS as a board, as members of.
Do we have a time or anything or whatever?
moved. So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We now come to
Indirection.
the election of chair and vice chair. So I will open up the nominations to this room for chair of the state board for the next year. Wendy, you have a comment?
I would like to nominate Matt Miller.
Matt Miller, you accept that nomination?
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? All in favor of Matt Miller moving to the state board chair, excuse me? Motion
Close your nominations.
for that position, or can I do them both at the same time?
Do your nominations,
Okay?
and then you close your nominations, and then you vote on it.
So we'll vote on both of them at the same time?
And then you do it again.
For vice
for
chair.
vice chair.
All right, so we have motion to close our nominations?
So moved.
Matt, then Werner, all in favor say aye.
So you can just close it. You don't have to do
Oh,
that.
okay, I can just
Sorry.
close that? Thank you for that guidance, please.
No.
All right, nominations to close. Motion to accept Matt Miller as chair for the next year.
So moved.
All right, Matt, second, Ms. Werner, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let me have nominations for the vice chair.
I'm going to nominate Matt for mayor. but I'll
As she
put Matt,
pushes her
just
chair
in
away.
case it goes like this. Sorry about that, but I think it'd be good.
Anybody else? All right, so nominations are closed. May I have a motion to accept Matt Mayo?
So moved.
Mr. Miller? Second?
I can't second if I just voted for him, right?
Oh, you made the motion, he made the
Right.
second, right? So that we're gonna do? All right, here we go.
Bill seconded as well.
All right, Bill second, so we're good there. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So you have to throw this gavel at you for the next meeting? I've used it twice. All right, so here was another thing on our other business.
That mean you have to sit next to me?
No, sir, I'm gonna go sit where he is. So
I gotta go sit by the attorney so I can read them.
They don't want both of us side by side, I don't think, Mr. Pruitt. All right, approval to change the scheduled State Board Meeting of Education from Thursday, September 18th to Thursday, September 25th.
Could you hold on for half a
I
second?
believe we have a conflict with staff that has a meeting that they must attend.
That works for me. Is that,
doesn't-
how do you need that as a form of a motion?
It doesn't
Can you
work for
tell
me,
us the
September
dates again?
25th is not. Sorry.
All right,
17 to, what day?
the 25th.
You meant really September 18th, right, is what you were moving it from?
So we're moving the meeting from
Yes.
September 18th to September 25th. Yes, ma'am.
I can do it virtually in the morning, but I
Okay.
can't do it.
Very good. So a motion to do that?
So moved.
Mr. Mayu, Mr. Jacobs, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, so that's MDE virtual.
So the August board meeting will be held on August 21st, 2025, here in Jackson, Mississippi at the Central High School on the 4th floor in the boardroom at 10 o'clock.
What about the meeting with Strider, planning, the strategic planning? That was supposed to be on the 18th was what I have scheduled.
Pardon? Yeah.
Strider.
The strategic plan.
Oh, I don't, as a subcommittee, yes, I get it work. It's not on my calendar, that's why they probably schedule that with y'all because y'all are a subcommittee, not a subcommittee, you know what I'm trying to say.
Can you move that
Yeah,
to the 25th
yes,
in and let us
yeah,
do that?
They work for us.
Mary will not be able to
They work for us,
attend.
we'll get it.
All right, the MS
I'll take care
visit
of it.
will be from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
10 to 12 with MSMS, and that's on the 13th? I may be
Yes.
I'm having a implant done on the 12th.
13?
I
know, where they drill up and they put the
It's
thing.
a visit to MS.
I know.
All right, everybody good?
Not bad. I take
Motion
back my
to
nomination for
adjourn.
him.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm respecting it.
Matt Miller, motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Wendy Barrett has a second because she's been here with us all day long to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Yes. Very great. Thank you very much for your service today. Appreciate your hard work.